Hey guys, today we'll try and figure out what our reseller niches are and why. Stay tuned.
Welcome to the Reseller Niche Podcast, a show for e-commerce buyers and sellers where we investigate unique items being bought and sold and show you how research equals knowledge equals profit.
Welcome back. Now, the main idea of this podcast was supposed to be deep diving into specific subjects, specific niches that we sell in and buy items to sell in. So I'm kind of confused about why I haven't actually talked about this before, but I guess that's okay. So I'm going to kind of do an overview of the idea behind this and see where it goes, where it lands. So every now and then, the reason actually I'm thinking about this, every now and then I'll get somebody asking me, and you probably had somebody ask you too, somebody that maybe that's new to reselling or hasn't resold and they're just wondering a little bit about it. What should I buy? What should I sell? How does this work? And because people are kind of confused about what would work to sell. And I've probably given every single answer in the book, all the regular reselling um, cliches that you've heard, you should do this, you should do that. But I wanted to really think about why and the what. So, what I'm selling and why I'm selling it. And that way, if somebody was to ask me again, maybe I can give a real answer rather than a bunch of thrown together cliches. So today, I'm going to break it down. I'm going to break it down based on what I'm actually doing. So I'm going to say, what are my niches? What am I selling? What are the categories I sell in? Why am I selling those categories? And if somebody was to ask me again, what should I sell? What should they sell? How would I answer that question? So why don't we start today by breaking down what I sell and what, categories, what platforms, that kind of thing. So basically, most of my stuff, I'd say 90% of it is eBay and Amazon. And if I was to break it down, I'm actually going to my stores right now. Um, I can break it down, to be honest, into dozens of categories, which is not ideal, but that's kind of what it is. We kind of all fall into selling a little bit of everything at the beginning, which I probably wouldn't advise, but it is what it is. So let's kind of keep going from that. Everyone breaks it down between hard goods and clothing generally, you know, clothing and shoes, maybe you can put those together. And then hard goods, which is pretty much everything other than clothing and shoes, those are kind of my two main categories. But let's kind of go down a little bit further. Amazon's really easy to break down. I'm looking at Amazon Seller Central right now, and it breaks it down by percentages, which is super, super simple. If you look in your business reports, you can even break it down by previous years, and you can see what percentage sold of this, that, and the other. I'm just doing year to date. And percentage wise, my highest percentages, obviously, I have more than two categories. I probably have I think 18 different categories I've sold in. The biggest one I have is close to 45%, which is video games. Most of these for me are used because I'm able to buy those in bulk. It's just easier for me, but some new, mainly used. And the opposite is with toys. It's all new in box toys. I don't mess with anything used there. The only thing I would say that I have that are used that I do send into Amazon or I have sent in before would be some used books. I don't really do much books. According to this, it's about 5%. And some used board games. I used to be a really, really big board game seller on Amazon. That was one of my major categories. That's really dropped recently, only because a lot of companies just restrict them. I used to do a lot of puzzles too. So it works out to about 40, just under 45% for video games in my inventory right now. And the reason I say about is because I'm kind of mixing together FBA and merchant fulfilled. And then about 40% of toys. Toys is kind of a little vague because that includes board games, includes puzzles, includes a lot of things. It kind of, I'm stretching it there a little bit. I'm about 5% books now. I don't really sell many books at all. And then the rest, I don't know what that is, 7-8% is kind of a mixture of health and beauty, some other stuff too, some food items. I used to do a lot more food, and I used to do a lot of health and beauty. That used to be about, I don't know, 35% of my inventory. I do a lot less now for the same reasons. A lot of companies restrict that. I'm not able to sell in XYZ company anymore when before I could, and it is what it is. A lot of this is merchant fulfilled now. Actually, I'd say more than 50% of what I sell on Amazon is stored. I store it myself, so that's what it is on Amazon. Pretty straightforward. So I guess my categories mainly are video games and toys for the majority of that. So let's go to eBay, which is a little bit, I mean, it's not hard to quantify, but um, it's a little bit more interesting, I would say. A little bit less cut and dry. What I'm looking at around 1,800 total items combined between, I have 3 different stores here, and I have 4 or 5, but 2 of them I'm just not using. And it looks like 753 clothing items. That includes shoes. So, um, also, what did I write down here? Okay, and I've got about 500, just under 580 toys, games, puzzles, books. I think I have a couple of books as well. And then I have 152 items under other. I'm not sure why that is. I'm actually going through that right now. So some of that might be in one of the other categories. And then I have about 400 items, give or take, spread across a multitude of other categories. I mean, everything from, I do a lot of like flag and poster sales. I sell pennants, not paintings. I used to sell more ornament type items, Christmas ornaments to just kind of vintage, kind of kitschy type items. I don't sell as much of that anymore, but so I have literally, I mean, I haven't even counted how many categories, but there's so many categories, and category within category within category when it comes to clothing as well. So, anyways, so when I look at this, my main 2 items would be toys and clothing. So it looks like, I guess, if you were to break it down into what my niches are between eBay and Amazon, it would be video games, new toys, and clothing and toys. So video games, toys, and clothing. Those would be the big three that I have. The main difference is it's used video games on Amazon, new toys on Amazon, and clothing is, I don't sell any clothing on Amazon right now, or very little. I used to sell shoes, but I don't do that anymore. And then I have kind of a mixture of new and used toys and games on eBay. So let's break this down even further. Hopefully, I'm not boring you already. But to be honest, I mean, I know this stuff, but I don't, if that makes any sense. I'm trying to figure out exactly what I'm actually doing here. So, mostly, my biggest categories in clothing are shirts, button-up shirts and kind of athletic t-shirts and vintage shirts. So that's vintage t-shirts, concert tees. I've got some advertising tees, stuff with cool old tags, that kind of thing. And then that would be the biggest thing. And my biggest, if I was to break it down by brands that sell the best for me, my 3 top selling clothing brands are Patagonia, North Face, and Nike. So, I mean, brands everyone's heard of, but for me, those are the highest sellers. And out of those brands, what I'm selling mainly is athletic apparel. That's kind of jackets, t-shirts, some long sleeves. I don't know if you should call them long sleeve t-shirts or long, like kind of like under. athletic wear, like Under Armour type stuff, but just not Under Armour brand, like Nike brand, North Face, Patagonia. I do sell a lot of Under Armour, but it doesn't sell for as much as say a Patagonia or a North Face shirt. So though, if I was to break it down even more, the kind of random part is the concert and vintage tees section. I have a lot of, this one stitch T-shirt, or single stitch, sorry, T-shirts, concert tees, older tees. Some of them are just random. They don't even think like a picture of like a tiger, but it's just got like a really old Hanes 50/50 tag on it, or one of those cooler old tags, some maybe I don't know, liquid blue or something like that. I should take some pictures and post them on Instagram or something. But I sell a lot of random T-shirts. I wouldn't know how else to describe them. Not even all concert tees. They're like just pictures, cartoony. Um, they're not even referring to a celebrity or a sporting team or anything. It could be referring to just something random, but they're just cool looking, maybe an all over print or whatever. So I saw a lot of those. My other main category in eBay that I sell in is toys. And under toys, the biggest thing I sell is action figures. So, and under that, the two main categories or the brands I would say are just vintage Star Wars and GI Joe toys, car, vehicle type things, play sets, all of that stuff. So that would be. I don't really sell as many video games on eBay. On eBay, the only some if I'm restricted on Amazon to sell something, I'll sell it. But other than that, I sell like more vintage video games. Not as many as I used to. But I would say that stuff like I just recently sold some what was it? Oh, Duke Nukem, and they're like on 5.25 inch disc, and some random games. I can't even remember the names. They were like very generic. It was like Moroffs, something other, very random PC games. The type of stuff that you wouldn't really sell on Amazon sells decently on eBay. You might have it will sit for a while though. So that's the kind of stuff I sell on eBay. So again, if I was to break this down in terms of my eBay categories, my niches, it would be clothing, mainly t-shirts, athletic wear, and toys, mainly action figures. And so those would be my categories if I was to break it down. Um, and that's both in terms of what I have listed and what I sell. Because what I try to do is if something sells, I try to buy more of it, common sense. And then if something doesn't really sell, if it's sitting, I try to cut it out, donate it, and just move on and not buy that type of item or that brand again, if that's possible. I'm really bad about donating things, though. I keep things forever. I'm sure that I'm a semi hoarder, if not a regular hoarder to most people. So anyway, so we've kind of touched on the second question already. Then, so why do I sell these items? Well, I used to sell toys exclusively when I got back into eBay. Um, um, Action figures, toys, board games, all that stuff, both on eBay and Amazon. It was a lot easier back in, say, 2013, 2014 to sell board games on Amazon. Actually, that's mainly what I used to do. I didn't sell any action figures. I sold a lot of old board games. Like I used to go and get, excuse me, old Monopolies. Oh, Trivial Pursuit. That was my favorite thing to pick up. You could pick up, and the boxes are pretty heavy duty. It's a heavy box, but it's a small box. So I would pick up every type of Trivial Pursuit you have. And, they go back 20, 30, I don't even know how many years, but they go back pretty far. And I would make lots between the Trivial Pursuits, but the 80s. And I'd matched up with a different, and they'd have all the different types of Trivial Pursuits. I'd match them up and make my own listing based on that. And those used to sell, especially in Q4. Those would sell really well. And what I liked about it is the way the shape of the boxes. If you got the smaller ones with just the cards, it had like one or two sets of cards only. You can make it like a small, and it would fit into like a 12 by 12 box or a 10 by 10 box easily. And it'd be easy to ship, easy to send out, easy to store, and it would sell for like $50 a pop. I mean, this was, let me see, I'm talking about 2013 here, or 2014, somewhere in there. You can't really do that anymore because the market's kind of flooded. Certain ones sell well. So if you get a lot of Trivial Pursuits, maybe you should look those up and see if they're still selling well. I don't really sell those anymore. But the other reason I like selling Trivial Pursuits, I don't know why. Trivial Pursuit, for whatever reason, nearly every time I checked it, it wasn't missing any pieces. Some of the bigger boards were, and the pieces that were missing were like those little, look like pizza, like plastic little triangle pieces. Those would be missing. But if you got the ones with just the cards are nearly always complete. So maybe it's the type of person that buys a Trivial Pursuit is a little bit more organized with their, how they keep their board games. But I wouldn't have an issue. Like, if you get Monopoly, it'd be missing the hat or missing this or missing dice or something. Trivial Pursuit, for whatever reason, was nearly always complete. Or maybe it's just stuck in my head. I have no idea. But anyways, I digress. So that's why when I talk about toys now, it's something that I remember when I was a kid, and it's something when I started selling when I first got back into selling online. I just really enjoy it. So that's, I mean, it kind of leads into the last question. Why would you sell something? And how would I tell someone, when they ask me, what should I sell? What's good to sell? I don't get this reselling thing. What should I sell? I'm a firm believer that you should sell what you know first. That should be the first thing. So for me, I used to know a lot about toys and games, a little bit about video games. So that's what I started with. I didn't start with any clothing at all. Actually, clothing scared me. I thought it was the grossest thing in the world to sell clothing. So once you've established what you already know what you know. So for example, if you're a golfer, you would have that expertise, whether you played it or you watch it on TV, you know a little bit about golf. So that's number one. Go with what you know. Number two is right after okay, I'm going to sell golf clubs or whatever it might be. Look in your area. You need to do a search of your local, I don't know, 2 miles, 5 miles, 10 miles, whatever you're comfortable with is your radius. You need to search your area. What's local to you? What are the stores local to you? Maybe it's OA if you don't really have many stores, but what can you get in abundance at a good price that you enjoy selling? So it's like 1, 2, 3. This is what I want to sell. This is what I can actually afford to buy, and this is what I can get in abundance. So if you can't do all of those three, at least if you can get it in abundance and you can get it at a good price, that's kind of what happens to a lot of us. You may be a diehard, whatever, music fan, but there's no good music record stores around you. And, you're not doing OA or whatever the reason is. So you kind of move on to something else. If you can't, what I'm trying to say is if you can't find a lot of what you want to sell, and if you can't find a lot of it at a price that makes sense for you to sell that, that's how you know it's not a good item to sell. So I guess I've talked about how not to pick an item. How to pick an item, I would still say go with what you like first. Go with what you know, what you like, what you have expertise in, maybe what you went to school for. Maybe you played that sport or you played music or whatever you did, whatever your hobby is. Go with that first. And sometimes it's not even, I like golf, so I'm going to sell golf clubs. Maybe it's to do with something else within the realm of golf. But anyways, now I'm kind of going off towards like private labeling there, but that's kind of how they think about picking an item. But anyways, so what I would say is if you can find a lot of it at a good price and it's something you like, that's the best way to go. And then after that, obviously, you can set yourself a target. How many items am I going to get? Is this going to be something I'm going to be doing full time? Then obviously, I guess those are questions for another episode. But that's kind of how I would think about picking items to sell. For example, for me, like I said, I sold toys a lot at the beginning. Sold a lot of 80s, 90s vintage, I guess it'd be vintage now, action figures. I started with those, and then I found out pretty quickly that those were tough, at least when I started. Maybe I was just looking the wrong way. Those are tough for me to get a lot of. So that's when I moved on to clothing, because these, at least where I am, I'm pretty sure everywhere, the number one thing in every thrift store is clothing. So, you got 50 racks of clothing, you've got 4 racks of board games / toys / and then maybe a couple of action figures. So that's what I kept running into. So I didn't stop selling them, but it definitely wasn't number one. It wasn't the number one thing on my list to buy when I went to a thrift store. I branched out. But then the mistake I made, so if I was to start again today, I would still actually pick those 3 categories: clothing, I guess video games, and toys, if you want to break those up. I would still do those 3 things. The difference would be I didn't make it efficient at all. I just kind of spread my net really wide. I said, okay, oh, well, look at cameras over there. Oh, we got electronics. Okay, you got shoes over here. Okay, oh, look at this, look at that. And my eyes got wide, and before you know, you got like 1,000 categories. I don't have that many now, but I still, if I was to count every single category, I probably have over 100 categories in my eBay store, if not more. So first thing I would do is, after, I don't know, 30 days, 90 days, maybe, I don't know, 6 months, I would start really evaluating what I've been selling, what's been selling, have I been able to get these same items that are selling again? And then I would focus in on those. And I would eliminate the ones that aren't. All the items that are sitting. I know, 3 months, 6 months is not a long time, but you can see what's selling and you can see what's not selling pretty fast. And that's what I would have done faster. I would have honed in on, okay, this sells, this doesn't sell. I can get this. I haven't been able to find this again in 6 months. And all of this stuff you should be able to tell just by looking at your eBay or Amazon dashboard. And then that's the next thing I would do. I would really, really, really keep track. Excuse me. I don't know, once every 2 weeks, once every month. Some people do it pretty much every day. Just keep checking that dashboard. What's selling, what's not selling, and honing in on that a lot faster, rather than kind of waiting and just kind of willy-nilly just selling anything. It just bogs down your store, and having all those categories confuses people, I think. I heard that on another store. There's a guy, I forget the name of the YouTube channel, but basically somebody asked him, why do you only sell, I think they sold electronics, certain type of electronics. And they say, well, somebody comes to my store and they have one of this and one of that and one of that. It might be okay, but most likely they're going to go away. But if they come to my store and I have 100 watches, or I have 100, video games, or whatever it might be, they're more inclined to look through the rest of them than if I had, one of this and one of that. And the second thing is, eBay doesn't make it very easy to see your eBay store to begin with. So you don't need any other reason for people to click away. Most likely they're going to come and click. I don't really have the experience where people kind of go to your store specifically and look through every single item. Generally, they come and they look for specifically that one item, and then they're gone. If you're lucky, you can get people to come back, but they're coming back to you. They're not coming back to your store, if that makes any sense. They're coming back because they bought from you, and then maybe you can kind of entice them to buy something else. So they're not coming back because, they saw another item when they were buying that first item at your store. And that's something I wish eBay would kind of tackle. I mean, that's another topic for another podcast, but they call it an eBay store, but it really isn't. It's kind of a random list that isn't really advertised very well at all. But anyways, I digress again. And then the last thing I would say that I would do is donate items faster. Today I donated, I think, 8 or 9 bags. I was pretty proud of myself because I'm a bit of a hoarder, and I usually don't donate things very fast at all. They usually sit for years. And some of these items I think were there for years. And I still have more to donate. So it's like a mental release when you get rid of stuff. And I know we have all this stuff that we think that will sell really, really well. you think you just bought the greatest item since sliced bread, and it will sit there sometimes for years. And then if it's sitting for years, then I think you've answered your own question. It's time to get rid of it, cut the price, sell it, whatever, donate it if you have to. So anyways, I think I'm starting to babble now, so I'm going to stop. I'd love to hear how you would explain how and what to sell to a brand new reseller, or even someone that's been doing it for a while. Maybe they just want to change things up. If you'd like to leave us a comment, even about anything I said there, successes, failures, when picking a niche, leave us a message. You can leave us a voice message on our Anchor page. It's at anchor.fm/reseller niche. And we'd love to hear your thoughts. But anyways, until the next one, please subscribe and check out our Facebook page. And we will talk to you next time. Have a good one. Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Reseller Niche Podcast. Show notes and social media links are located at resellerniche.com. Please comment, rate, and subscribe to us on iTunes or YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts.